Hey, what's up guys, I'm Praetorian and welcome back to Europa Universalis IV Domination. So today's episode is going to be the finale for the series. I was going to end it on Tuesday, however I did see a lot of comments, people asking me to keep it going, or saying things like, oh, we got to get the views up so that the series doesn't end. And so I decided to take a week because I couldn't really make videos this week for the series because we're already quite busy with the other two series that we have going. So I figured I would, rather than end it on Tuesday, I would go ahead and give it a week just to see if the views picked up at all, and maybe we could have kept the series going on like an every other day format. However, the views did not pick up, and it's a really unpopular series. If we look back from 2016, so when my channel started to actually start getting some views, we looked all the way back 7 years ago. Over the course of the 7 years, since I've been covering Paradox games specifically, out of all the Paradox series I've done, this is the second most popular. So even back when I had like 2,000 subs, I was getting more views than this series has. It's just a really unpopular series. I don't know if it's because EU4 is a really old game at this point. It's like 10 years old. But as I explained back in February, the Stellaris and EU4 series were kind of like a test to see if I could cover these games. We already cover CK3, HiJynx, and Victoria on the channel. I want to see if I could add these to the rotation. And essentially, Stellaris is yes, it did well enough that I think we will cover that and some of the major expansions as they come out, while EU4 is a no. I think the game is just too old at this point to be able to make it a regular part of our coverage. So I'm going to go over more why I'm ending the series and why we can't keep it going at the end of the episode, because I did want to do a few things in this one. I did want to talk about it because I think there's a lot of misunderstanding exactly how YouTube works, because a comment I see quite frequently is if you're enjoying a game and enjoying a series, then you shouldn't care about the views or whether you're earning money or anything like that. That you should only play what you enjoy, and then the views will come later. And that's, I've been doing this for a long time now. I've been doing YouTube since 2015, so 8 years. And over that time, that has not been my experience. I've talked to other YouTubers as well, just kind of curious how their channels work, and it's a very similar experience for them too. I think it's just a misunderstanding for people who watch YouTube rather than actually, put videos out and try and make money off of this thing. And I think that's the thing that people forget too, is that once you get to a certain point, you're kind of doing this to pay your bills. And so, you got to take into consideration that you got bills to pay at the end of the month, regardless of how well your channel's doing, how many views you're getting, how much money you earn, you still got to pay your bills. So I was going to just kind of briefly go over exactly my rationale on this and what's going on in my life, because I generally don't talk about this kind of stuff because I know most people don't care. You guys are here for the gameplay, not for hearing about my issues. But because I never talk about it, I think people don't see things from the perspective of the person creating the content. So just want to talk about it for those of you who care, and for those of you who don't, you don't have to watch it. This will be at the end of the video. We're going to have a bit of gameplay here on the finale. I always try and do a little bit in the finale since you're already sitting down to record, so why not? And what I was thinking that we could do here is just kind of show how to go about fixing this crisis that we're in, if we were going to be continuing the series, because we're in a hell of a crisis right now. We got a lot of problems. First of all, of course, is the current coalition that could rise up against us. This would be a powerful one. I think we'd win it, but it would be a difficult fight. And then that's not the only problem. We have some severe financial issues. We're losing a lot of money right now. We have low legitimacy. We're gaining corruption currently. There's a lot of problems that we're currently dealing with. Overextension's an issue, but that'll be fixed very soon. Our stability is dropping. That's not going to be a problem once we get the overextension solved. But yeah, we've got some situations here that need to be solved. And so the first thing we would do is go ahead and recall our colonist here, and then abandon this colony, because that is a big chunk of our money. You'll see the three things we're spending the most money on. Our advisors, that's another place you might want to cut back on, but I really don't want to cut back on at this moment. So we're going to try and avoid doing that. Our big old army is really expensive. And then colonial maintenance is the second highest expense right now. Each one of these colonies is costing us money. And so we're actually going to go ahead and abandon this one. Frankly, it was just too many colonies at once. And so that'll improve the situation a lot. Yeah, you can see here that we're already doing much better. And we only had like 60 something people there. And so what would be better is to instead send the colonists over to here. because once it's no longer a colony, you don't have to pay the maintenance anymore, and it actually starts earning you money. But getting the colony set up are expensive. That's generally the case, and it takes you a while to actually profit from colonization. So the Protestant Reformation just kicked up, so I'm glad we got to show that in this final episode. So basically this is a center of Reformation. It'll start spreading the Protestant religion. It's going to spread it here next, and what we'll see is 2 more of those pop up, and they'll all start spreading it. Generally they usually pop up in Germany or England. Yeah, that's the main places. Sometimes you see them in Scandinavia, but often it's in Germany. There's the Netherlands, sometimes gets it as well. So we got that exploration finished, and we got those core provinces. So that's going to fix a lot of our issues. Getting those cores was pretty important. Are we paying for our military? We shouldn't be paying for... Oh, we are paying for our army. Okay, my bad, guys. I didn't realize we were paying for the army. I thought we had stopped paying for them. All right, so that's a big part of our money there. We still need to get rid of the colony. Although now that we got those cored, we're making a lot more, because non-core provinces don't make you hardly any money. So we're doing a lot better now that we got all those cores. That was a bunch of them. And the overextension was costing us as well. If we just look at all the penalties of overextension, you'll see them here. So it increases unrest, which in the mod decreases the amount of money that the province makes for you. Of course, you have the stability problems we talked about. Trade power abroad is reduced, so your merchants are making you less money. That's one thing I actually wanted to change here. Get more corruption. So yeah, a lot of problems there. But yeah, we need to change up our merchant, because we don't have much trade power here compared to how much trade power we have over here. Now, this trade node's worth less money at this moment. The English Channel will be eventually worth a lot more. But yeah, it makes more sense to come over here just because of the sheer amount of trade power that we have in this one. So let's collect from trade here, remove that Genoa merchant, and I bet he'll make a lot more. He was giving us 1 point something over here. I imagine it'll be a bit more over there, quite a bit more. So we need to move him. And then yeah, the other thing that I forgot to do is, we want to try and help reduce the coalition against us. So we need to assign a merchant. So we're going to get rid of the one that's building the spy network. We're going to keep this one here. And we're going to assign a merchant towards outraged countries. Though, if we do that, then we won't get to pick who we do. So you know what? Let's do it ourselves. And we'll decide which country we want to improve relations with. I think we're going to do Switzerland, but they don't have a huge army. Probably Venice or Austria. Austria really doesn't like us. So as we could try with Venice. Yeah, let's go and try and improve relations with them. But yeah, we could also do it through there, and then it'll just kind of rotate around to countries that are outraged at you. So improving relations can help get them pulled out of the coalition. We'll see if there's any other missions to do over here. Yeah, there's the Atlantic South American coast, or we could do Africa. Let's do the Atlantic South American coast. So we'll do that. And we have gained another core province, which I think is the last core we were getting. All right, excellent. So we can make this into a state, and we will increase our income here. And then we'll have to re-core. There's 2 types of cores. The state cores and the non-state cores. Fur has become more valuable, which is helpful considering the fact that we are colonizing an area where there are lots of fur provinces. So we are looking at some potential rebellions here. Remember, we're still annexing, and there was a patch. So it looks like they should be able to take care of that themselves. Yeah, so we're making 8.82. And you'll notice the colonial maintenance is significantly lower. That third colony is really expensive, so we would still be in the negative, even with the army maintenance fully reduced here, if I hadn't got rid of that colony. But it wouldn't be as bad. A big part of that was that army. Let's go and establish another marriage over here with them. We don't have any diplomats, so we'll have to wait till they send us the offer. And we did piss off the nobility by annexing them, but they're still happy with us. We did lose diplomatic reputation. The point of that is to make it more difficult for you to do the next annexation. We would accept that marriage. All right, so we got one of our vassals annexed. And as I was saying, they did change this up in a patch. So we were required, let me actually just show this here. So we were required to have the crown lands at 50% in order to annex these vassals. They've changed that so that now every time you seize crown land, you can get one more of your vassals annexed. So of course this is really negative for our campaign, considering the fact that we've already done a lot of seizing land and it doesn't count the ones that we did before the patch. And so basically we can't annex anybody because we need to seize more land. And so for each one of these we'd have to seize land once. And so that's another negative here with, you know, anytime they are patching while you're in the middle of a campaign, you're going to have some issues sometimes. We do have some money. I was saving it up because we want to get more of the higher level forts. We're building these up here. So we got the higher level fort there. So let's do the ones up on the borders with Spain. And yeah, those forts are really expensive. Do we have any objectives that we're supposed to be working towards? No agendas here. And we can't summon the next one until 1503. But yeah, improving relations with all these countries in the coalitions would help kill the coalition. Also, just letting the aggressive expansion tick down would help as well. And exiles of Muscovy, so Moscow's not happy with this because apparently we got some of their exiles. Let's go with the exceptional year for the national tax modifier. I imagine that would be better here. So we'll go with that. Finish up that exploration mission. So let's go and send them on another mission to explore the West African Sea. Again, there are negatives to doing all these because it means that everybody else will discover them sooner. It'll slowly spread to them. We do have a loan. I forgot about that. We need to pay that off. So let's not spend any more money here. We had a native rebellion, but we quickly destroyed it. Also, we can increase the amount of settlers that our colonies are getting. Did we ever finish getting those techs? Well, there's another one available here. But yeah, I think we'd keep on investing in these. Let's get this one. This would really help getting these colonies built up. Currently have 451 in our first colony and 217 in our second one. But yeah, it's a real bummer that we're having to end the series. I know many people are gonna be disappointed, but nobody's gonna be more disappointed than I am, guys. I spent a lot of time working on this mod. I only got it ready for this series. Got a nice little bonus there. But yeah, I spent a lot of time on it. I started getting this ready, I don't know, 6 weeks ago, something like that, and working on it whenever I could. Let's go and recall our diplomat and move him somewhere else. Well, we've got that free diplomat, so let's go ahead and set this one up to do outraged countries. And then what we'll want to do, and again, we'll just go with a little bit of admin power here. Wonder why it's idle, as if there's nothing for them to do. Okay, well, let's go ahead. Let me see where we got the opinion to. Yeah, they're still pretty unhappy with us here. Guess we could do the Swiss next. Let me just take a look who's all in this coalition against us. See which countries would make the most sense. Milan, yeah. We can do Milan. So it's going to boost their opinions. And then we'll see if they assign anybody here. Okay, there they go. Alright, so it just took a little minute. And the birth of colonialism. So this changes everything. Did this happen in our country? So it seems like. Yeah, so we got the institution here. Alright, so that's, yeah, right there. So that's pretty powerful for us because we start out with the institution. Now, of course, we still have to embrace it, but I mean, we started out with it in our province. So, of course, you get all those bonuses, the power, prestige, government reform progress. And then it also becomes a major colonial port until the end of the game, giving you more local trade power, which is in the English channel. And so that's going to increase how much we're making, which we're already making 6.99. That's compared to that 1 point something we were making in Genoa. So a lot more money here. So that's helping us out quite a bit as well. Yeah, this is going to help us out even more. But yeah, then it'll spread through our territory here much quicker than we were waiting for the last one to come from Italy. So that's really nice. So big bonus for us there. All right, so we've seen this event before. Got to give up some of our land. I mean, you could just do this one as well and just lose loyalty with both of them, I suppose. Yeah, I guess let me just take a look at how much land we have. All right, so we're at 53%, and that's what we're getting currently. Reform, progress, growth, and maximum absolutism. The absolutism doesn't really help us just yet, not until that unlocks in a later age. So we can give up a little bit of land because we don't want to we don't piss everybody off. Or you can piss the nobles off because they already have a lot of loyalty with us, and it goes up pretty fast. I think that might be what we do. We'll just give the land to the clergy. 'Cause yeah, we got a little bit of room to move there. And our stability went back up. Now that we no longer have the overextension. And that's how this advisor here is really helping us out with that instability reduction. And we did finish up the exploration. And then also we got that bonus in one of our government reforms, didn't we? I think one of these ones is granting us, yeah, the negative 15% instability reductions. Really helpful there as well. And so yeah, if you take enough of them, then you can sit at 3+ stability as long as you don't have, like, you know, problems in your country, disasters, overextension, stuff like that. So might need a little bit more balance in there. I don't know. It's probably not a bad thing if you're able to get to +3. Let's do, I guess we'll do the West African coast again. Looks like it didn't complete, or maybe there's more stuff we can do. Or maybe we did the West African Sea last time. But yeah, now this institution's gonna be spreading through our territory, and we should be able to get it faster than everybody else. Put us in the tech lead, and that's one of the advantages of racing to colonize. So you're more likely to get that. And the AI is really slow with the colonization, I noticed. They never colonize anywhere near as quickly as happened in history. Alright, so I'm not really liking either of these options. We're not getting tech anytime soon, but yeah, within 10 years we probably would. We're just gonna have to increase the cost. Yeah. It's always better to have power over money. You know, monarch power over money. We can't pay off our loans, so let's go ahead and do that. Oops. We want, this is just letting us know the age of discovery is ending in 93 months, which does mean that we lose any bonuses that we're getting here. But yeah, since we're ending this series, I suppose we could declare a golden era if we wanted to. Yeah, why not? If you're ending the series and you're not going to keep it going, then might as well. It does have an instability reduction penalty here, though. Yeah, have higher morale of armies. All power cost is reduced. Absolutism obviously not helping us. Same thing with the revolutionary seal, but the goods produced modifier is nice as well. So yeah, that's helpful. Let's go and repay this loan. Looks like we're still short. What, 1 or 2 ducats? All right, so let's go ahead and do. Yeah, we'll give them a fair deal. Get some money. Reduce the aggressiveness there. Get a loan paid off, so we don't have to pay off. Don't have to pay the interest on that anymore. And who is this with? Oh, Luca. Yeah, we'll go and accept that. Yeah, legitimacy is pretty low still. Still got a lot of work to do to get that built up. And we can now invest in our admin technology. How much are we paying for this? Yeah, I mean, this is pretty cheap. Why not? You know, get the production efficiency. We're no longer ahead of time either. And then we'll be able to build the cathedrals. So we're going to get that. Yeah, that'll give us that ahead of time bonus again. And the next one gets you another idea group. Doing pretty good on the military power. We must be pretty far ahead here. Yeah, because this is really expensive now. So you'd want to spend that. And I guess we can go ahead and do so now. Let's increase our development. So we're going to want to boost up the manpower of Paris first, because it's pretty low. Kind of expensive doing it here, of all places. But yeah, we'll do it there first. And then from here, we'll just kind of look at the cost. Actually, you know what? There's a few provinces I wanted to boost. Oh, and that's all for military power. So expensive, these places. The exploration mission is finished. So let's go and send them back out to the South Atlantic Sea. We don't want to do the circumnavigate the globe because we wouldn't make it. The ships would they'd sink. We don't have the range to supply them anywhere near enough range, so it would not work out. So yeah, Milan has left the coalition against us. Combination of us improving opinion with them and the aggressive expansion just being reduced yearly, naturally. As you get Milan out of it, and you just keep on boosting opinion with people. And you can see we're quickly fixing most of the issues that we were facing. So this one doesn't help us. We don't have any trade companies, nor will we be getting any anytime soon, since we're focusing on the colonization of the Americas currently. I think we could probably afford another colony at this point. But yeah, I'm almost of the mind of just like, let's let this one finish up. That third colony does get a lot more expensive. Also one of our military leaders. But yeah, without seizing land, we would not be able to annex any of our subjects again. So let's go ahead and summon the Diet to try and get some opinion boosted up in preparation to seize more land. And we can do another church one to get some base tax. That's some extra manpower. So yeah, it's production or tax, essentially. Okay, we'll just do the church. So build the church there, and then if we have any more money, which we should, we'll build somewhere else. I don't think we'll be able to make good money. Yeah, we can make a little bit in Anjou, but yeah, not good money, not as much as we'll be able to make with the marketplaces. So yeah, let's build the marketplaces instead. And that actually reduces the ship of the line and the trade ships, so that's helpful since we're paying more already. Let's go and recall our diplomat from Milan and send. Oh, nice, we got 100 population there. Excellent. And then send them out somewhere else. Probably the Swiss now. Let me take a look again at that coalition. See if there's any other countries. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good choice. Austria obviously is the most powerful one in the coalition, but they're probably always going to hate us. So it was naval supplies is what we ended up getting. Okay, so fur and naval supplies in these two locations. And Louis XII is calm. So another instability reduction modifier. All right, well, that's pretty helpful. It'll be even easier for us to stay at the +3 stability now. Yeah, there might be some more balancing things I could do there with that. But like I said, I don't want it to be impossible to set it +3. Just more difficult. So we got an event about royal patronage. So this one would cost us a stupid amount of money, and this is where it gets ridiculous, as I've talked about throughout the series. You know, when it just requires you to pay based on how much money you make. It's just ridiculous. Like, because nobody sits on that much money at this point in the game. You spend it when you get it. And so yeah, you always got to go into debt for it. So I hate most of these random events though. I've thought about completely removing the random event folder, just making it so all the events aren't there. And that wouldn't be all the events, but the most annoying ones to me are in that random event folder. Because yeah, they're just not based on anything. They're just random things. And you know, random things happen to countries. I just wish there's a little bit more to them. They're just a little bit more impacted by what's going on in your country, and I don't know. I guess I'm just not huge on random systems, period. Even though I know that in real life there is a lot of randomness to certain things. It's not real life though, it's a game. I think this is the option we've been going with. Last few times I got it, so we'll just stick with that one. Got a new pope. This time Burgundy controls the papacy. Alright, so this is a helpful one, the institution spread. Yeah, that's real nice. All of our military leaders are dying. Gonna have to have a whole new generation of military leaders. So we'll get the one here. After this though, there's none that are gonna give you a lot of trade power. 3 is kind of like the bare minimum I'm willing to build a marketplace for. So yeah, we'll go and get that church in Anjou. Also, we completed this one here, so that gave us 1+ base tax and improved the opinion of the clergy. I don't know who they're fighting, but I don't like Burgundy, so we're gonna say no. So we need to see if we can seize some land now. We can. So let's go ahead and do so. Now this is gonna piss off just them, but that's enough to have to deal with this rebellion here. So let's go ahead and pay for our army. What we need to do is fire this at a more opportune time rather than a whole month where I can't get the opinion back up. Is that the only rebellion? Oh, maybe that's the only one. Okay, so yeah, we'll just let it go until we're almost about to get there. I mean, yeah, that's going to result in the season. I mean, there's so many troops here. You might be able to win this anyway. Let's see. Yeah, we were able to defeat them just because of the sheer numbers, so we didn't need to pay for our army. So let's go ahead and stop paying for them. Move these guys back. They won't be able to get their numbers. I suppose there's that. I know it's not a big deal, just getting those 200 extra dudes there, but yeah, we'll let them restore their numbers and take it back down. And then let's go ahead and send them on their next mission, South Atlantic coast. Let's keep on working on that. But it becomes a full-fledged province, your colonies, I mean, at 1,000. So we're getting there. But again, we could afford to have another colony at this point. But yeah, it'd be nice to just build up some of the stuff here. Like we never did finish. Milan declared war in Savoy. We never did finish building up our fortifications, getting them to the next levels, which is pretty helpful. And Switzerland has left the coalition. Excellent. So again, just kind of getting them all kicked out of the coalition. So we wouldn't have had the big coalition war. And that was one of the things I was interested to see if we would have or not, because those coalition wars can be, one, they're really challenging, and thus two, they're pretty fun as well sometimes because of the challenge. So this would kill our artist and instead give us an inquisitor. I see. I don't think we have anything spread to us yet, but we will, because it's pretty close to center Reformation, so you know it's going to spread here eventually. And you can see it's really spreading over here. That's where the next Reformation center has spawned in Brandenburg. And then we actually did get one in Scandinavia. It's in Norway and currently converting down here. All right, interesting. So one in Germany, or excuse me, 2 in Germany and 1 in Scandinavia. And then there'll be the next stage of the Reformation, where you get the Calvinist, or the Reformed religion. That's what it's called here in the game. Oh yeah, we don't really need that. We'll just go with this. But let's spend that papal influence first. Since we have the 50, might as well. So let's go ahead and see what we can get. Yearly legitimacy would be useful since we do have those issues there. Yearly inflation reduction and the corruption reduction would be nice as well. You know what? That's the one we're gonna do. Let's get that one. We need to deal with the corruption, because I stopped messing with it because we were so broke there for a time. But yeah, then we'll do this one here, and it'll just put us back at 0. But yeah, let's go ahead and get the corruption paid for, because yeah, we couldn't afford it before to take it down some. But yeah, now we can. So let's go ahead and start reducing the corruption some. Get rid of that. And lost those modifiers. Oh, interesting. So they sent us an insult probably because they didn't want us to annex them. I forgot because we seized that land, we can now start up another annexation. So let's go ahead and pull the diplomat from the Swiss. And maybe they should be annexed first since they're over here sending insults at us. Yeah, I feel like they should be the first ones. So let's go ahead and annex them. Start, getting all these guys annexed. Basically, every time we seize land, we can annex one more of them. So they changed the mechanic up. They no longer require the 50% crown lands. I don't think I liked that, the 50% crown lands. I think this is better. I think it's a better change. It's unfortunate, it's right in the middle of the series here. Or it's obviously at the end of the series, but once right in the middle of the campaign is what I mean. That we're affected by it. So obviously, kind of a negative. But it's a better change overall. We'll go ahead and continue increasing our trade power, making really good money from our merchant here in the English Channel. And another rebellion, but this was again in one of our subjects' territory. So yeah, let's go ahead and do. Yeah, there's no more. Okay, so we're done. So we'll just go ahead and let them. We'll have them do on a trade, another trade mission again. Probably in Bordeaux. I think that's the only one we can actually make money in. So have them go there. And you can keep boosting the population, though that would piss off the natives there. In this case, I think it's probably worth it. Burgundy is now a great power. And we lost our marriage here. Alright, well that's kind of irrelevant because we're annexing them. They'll probably ask us again, and then we probably want to say no so we don't lose the legitimacy there. And Burgundy has declared us a rival. I thought we were already rivals with them. We are actually short a rival, aren't we? Well, Burgundy can be our rival then. So then we'd want to embargo them. So let's go ahead and do so. Though we don't have any diplomats available. So we're not embargoing anybody. Yeah, we're going to go and decline this. We don't need to lose the legitimacy here, guys. When they're going to be annexed in. We're a third of the way through that right now. And so, yeah, we would be increasing our power significantly as we annex all of our many vassals. I meant about the cottage industry. So it looks like this one here is going to go against the bourgeoisie. Get us a base production, though, and 2 provinces. Or you can go with them. They'll gain some influence, also some loyalty, and then you'll get some guild privileges defended modifiers in those 2 provinces, reducing the local unrest and increasing the local taxes. Yeah, we'll go with that one. Make them happy with us. Because, you're not only getting the bonuses in the provinces, but they also were unhappy, so we're getting penalties. And we lose all those penalties and instead get the 10% trade efficiency. So increasing the money here and overall just pretty good. Alright, so let's go ahead and attack these guys now. Get them wiped out. We're lucky they're the very small rebellions here, so we can just easily defeat them without having to actually pay for our troops. And then we can get the next level here, which is going to increase settler chance, which does impact these guys here, since we have the colonists there. So we had a 23% chance, or we have a 23% chance now, where before we just had the 13% chance. So it'll help them grow quicker, essentially. And this one's actually almost done, so that's good to see. Yeah, I think we're just going to keep on building the marketplaces. Actually, you know what? I said that I was going to work on the forts, so we'll do the forts. So the star forts are really expensive. 426. Jeez, did they get more expensive? Do we have like a modifier that's impacting us there? So it looks like Milan won their war against Savoy, if that's what that war was. I just clicked through real quick. I think so. As for colonialism, let's just take a look. Yeah, it's spreading pretty nicely. So let's just take a look and see how expensive it currently is to embrace it. 856. We still got a lot of our territory that hasn't gotten the institution just yet. There's no rush to do it just yet anyways. Obviously you want to get as soon as you can, but reducing recruitment time. We're not really building our army up right now. We could get it much larger. I believe we have some force limit here available. Yeah, 72. So we could build up, 6 more regiments. We build 2 more ships as well. And our colony has become self-sustaining. Excellent. We did lose our advisor, so that's a negative. All right, so you get the 1+ prestige for doing that. But yeah, we now have them set up as a full province here. All right, so that means we'd want to go ahead and send the colonists over here to recolonize that province. And we can go ahead and move these guys down here. Oh yes, I did forget that we lost our advisor. That's our diplomatic advisor as well, so we want to make sure we get somebody else here. So we could go with colonial range. That's not really necessary right now. Probably go with the trade efficiency. He'd be really expensive too. But we do have a good little chunk of money. Alright, and he can be promoted as well. So yeah, let's go and put him in place. The promotion would be 333 though. Probably won't be doing that anytime soon. And yeah, we'll go with the cardinal minister. Cardinal minister, excuse me. And you get those negative events, but I just feel like it's worth doing that, even if you just get rid of them when you get the negative events. It's nice to get all those bonuses in the meantime. New emperor's been elected, and man, all of our advisors are dying. It really is a whole new generation. Burgundy has declared a golden era, and Naples continues to have their rebellion issues. Alright, so let's go ahead and get somebody else appointed here. So he was increasing our morale of our armies. And we got a lot of money. So could go ahead and get the level 3 guy. And that's also a land maintenance modifier reducer. So he's not as expensive when you consider that fact. Yeah, let's just get him. Get more military power. And lots of new monarchs and stuff taking over. Getting a whole other generation ruling Europe. We did get the ability to purchase another one of these, but again, they're only going to be in place for 33 more months. So we'll get the war taxes one. How are we doing on reducing the aggressive expansion? Still high, but much lower than it was. Yeah, not too bad, guys. Could be worse. Obviously, the English hate us. They get a lot of aggressive expansion from us. But yeah, we could maybe go a few more years, burning it off, and then we'd be able to do another war. I mean, of course, at this moment, we're integrating our vassals. And is this a new colony? It is. Let's go over there and deal with it. But yeah, that's kind of the way that we're expanding currently, is by annexing our vassals. Now you could keep the vassal swarm alive, keep them around, because we've seen that they can be useful in the conflicts. I feel like you gotta eventually centralize as France though. Makes sense historically. So the local fortification experts. What's nice if you do this one is that it's forever. Where is this? This isn't for done. Yeah, we'll do that. You get that 50% defensiveness for the rest of the game. Of course, it only helps if you keep a fort there. We lost the advisor. The artist. Okay, so let's go with the... He's a bit expensive. I guess we'll go with the prestige then. And then just promote him. Get him up to level 2. And that's probably where we'll leave him. Yeah, I think that's fine. We're still making money. Queen of the People might have had this event as well already. Yeah, I don't think it's worth it. We'll just take the legitimacy, something we need. Need to get that legitimacy higher. And everybody's doing the golden era right now. It does seem like the AI likes to do. Where did we get these 3,000 infantry over here? Probably when we annex somebody. Yeah, I assume that's from annexing somebody. Okay. But yeah, the AI seems to want to take it early all the time. So if you wait, then you have that nice bonus. It looks like our dynasty is in the reign, and they need assistance. So you say family first, improve their opinion, get some prestige. Yeah, that's what we'll go with. Because our prestige is at 87, so that'll get up to 97. It's worth the money, I feel. Prestige is always pretty helpful to keep high. And that also results in them leaving the coalition because they're so happy with it. You're welcome. Alright, so another uprising. We're just having to bounce back and forth here. Maybe we should just leave them there. It seems like maybe the rebels, excuse me, the natives here are more rebellious. Oh yeah, most definitely. The aggressiveness is considerably higher here. Okay. So yeah, we'll just keep them there. We can't get the military tech. Okay. Yeah, why not? We'll go and grab this. We'll get you the barracks. Some nice modifiers here and some new cannons. So to get that, and then we want to switch up our unit types. And we'll do the offensive fire one. So unfortunately, I think that is going to have to be the end of the episode and thus the end of the series. But we've shown that we fixed pretty much all our issues here. Still burning off the corruption. The stability's back at 3. The economy's doing great. And most importantly, this coalition is now starting to fall apart. Now, there are still a lot of members in it, so if any of them did declare war on us, and we'd still have to fight all of them, that'd still be a large coalition. There's not a lot of really powerful countries in this coalition, really just Venice and Austria. But yeah, you get all those little countries. That can be a lot of troops sometimes. But still, I feel pretty confident we'd win if we had to fight the coalition. But it's not likely to fire at this point. I mean, maybe. Somebody had to attack us. We're pretty powerful. I don't think a lot of countries are interested in attacking us. Now, we can go ahead and take a look at the ledger here. See kind of different stats we haven't really looked at just yet. Just kind of compare a few things. Like, for instance, let's compare like our armies. So our army size, you know, we have a bit more space on our force limit, so we could get a bit larger of an army. But here in Europe, in Western Europe, we have the largest army in the world. Austria is at 61. They get a bunch of extra bonuses for being the emperor. And yeah, they're at 61, so we have a larger army than them. Look at Castile, our rival over there, only 43. The English, obviously having trouble. They're at 32. So yeah, doing pretty good when it comes to our army here. If we wanted to, let's just go back. Go to the fleet and look at... We don't want to see the force limit. We want to see how many ships we have total. So we have the second largest navy in the known world. And just looking at actual numbers of ships, because, you know, this is misleading because we don't have very many trade ships. Because you can see that the AI has a ton of trade ships. Venice, as you'd expect, has 19, quite a few. But if we look at light ships specifically, we have the second largest number of light ships. Ottomans have the first. They also have the largest fleet. And then with the frigates, we're number 3. It's doing pretty good there. As far as ship of the lines go, Muscovy has 2. Castile has 1. So we'd have to build one more. That should really be a goal. Make sure we have the most ships of the line in the world. You can look at like army and naval quality. What I want to see here is the income comparison. Just show, you know, how well we're doing in the world. And you can see we're number 1 on income currently. Now, if you wanted to, you could, you know, separate these based off of the type of income. Number 3 in production, number 2 in trade, second only to the Venetians. Obviously, we don't make any money from gold. Portugal's getting some money from their colonies, the tariffs. We make a lot of money from our vassals. Or not a lot, but more than anybody else. And yeah, that's basically it. So yeah, we are making the most money. So I suppose that's all we'll look at. Though I did want to show one of my favorite screens here. The previous rulers. I always like looking at this. Just see who's ruled from when to where. Their personalities, their skills. This is the kings we've had since we've started here. starting with Charles VII, obviously. So yeah, it's a decent game. EU4 has, gone back and forth. They've had periods where I really didn't like what Paradox was doing with the game, and then, had some really good periods. So like when the game first came out, I was kind of disappointed with it. It was, obviously a major step up in some areas compared to EU3, but many others I didn't really like what they were doing, like with the monarch power, for instance. Didn't really like that mechanic that much. But yeah, then they had this really good period, like Art of War period, where they had some great expansions coming out and really changing the game in fantastic ways. And I was just enjoying what they're doing. They had a pretty long period there where I think EU4 was doing great, and then it just kind of fell off, just releasing like one terrible expansion after the other. I just didn't like where Paradox was bringing the game and the mechanics and stuff. But yeah, they had some really bad ones there, and so yeah, I just wasn't digging what they were doing at EU4. And then they switched the companies that were handling it, still within Paradox obviously, but the one in Spain, Paradox Tinto, took over, and they had a rough time, as you expect from a new development company. They had a rough time with it. Their first 2 DLCs I think were pretty bad. I think it was the first 2. Or one really bad and one was all right or whatever. But then they released the Scandinavian focus one, and that was pretty good. I did a campaign with that before we started here. And then this one I think is really good as well. But I do think it is the end of EU4's life cycle. This is a stupidly old game of 10 years and still releasing DLC. Shows the dedication Paradox has to it, and the fact that it's been so popular over this time. To justify the DLCs and to have that many of them and this long of a support cycle. But I think it is at the end of its life. I would be willing to bet EU5 is in development and has been in development. I would not be surprised if we get an announcement for EU5 either this year or next. As far as when that's actually going to come out, I don't know. It depends on when they announce it, obviously. If they announce it this year, then it might come out next year. If they announce it next year, then it still could come out next year, but probably not. Probably the year after that. And that's probably the most likely year, I think, is like a 2025 release. I'm hoping for 2024, though. So we'll see. It really just depends on if they announce it this year or not. But I think it is already in development, and I think it's been in development for a little while. This has the feel of a final patch for me, where you go to the players' most popular countries. The countries that the players play the most: England, France, Spain, the Ottomans. Japan is pretty popular, as is China. Well, I don't know how popular China is, but you go to these countries that people play a lot, and then you improve those and give them new mechanics and stuff. It gives the feel of a final update. Now, generally, the way Paradox's cycle goes is they'll have like an expansion release with the free patch, and then they'll have another free patch after that. And I don't mean like the hot fixes, but I mean like one big free patch. That's the way they develop a lot of their games, including this one. And so I do assume there's going to be another big free patch, and that would probably focus on one of the areas, if not both the areas that players have really been asking for. The 2 main areas that still feel like they need development, according to the player base, not me, is South America and the Middle East. That's the ones I hear the most often on the Paradox forums, is that people want to see improvements to before the life cycle's fully ended. And so I think that free patch would focus on one of those areas, if not both, and then it would be done. I don't know for sure. Obviously, I don't have any inside information. I could be completely wrong here. Maybe there's another expansion coming. I think they've said something like that. And considering the fact you got a whole other company over here, Paradox Tinto, working on that, they really could keep it going, especially if it's still selling. I don't know how well Domination did. I don't know what the player numbers look like, but yeah, if it's still selling, they could keep on milking this game for more. So maybe we'll see another expansion. I could be completely wrong here, but I think it is getting close to the end of the development for EU4. But one nice thing about that is if you're a modder, you can work on the game, mod the game without having to worry about the constant updates and the changing of mechanics and stuff that you always see. Although Paradox has already kind of ended any like major changes at this point. They stopped that pretty much as soon as it went to Tinto. I think they said, like, we're not making any map changes. or they didn't say that immediately, but they've said that since. No more map changes, not adding any more provinces anyway. And yeah, just not like doing huge major expansion features anymore. Mostly like flavor focused expansions is what they're doing at this moment, and what they'll probably continue to do if they do continue to support the game. Yeah, it's been interesting watching the development of EU4 and all the changes and changes on the team and the many mechanics they've added and the way they changed their development for the game. But yeah, I think this is the last time we'll have a Let's Play of EU4 on the channel. You know, when EU5 comes out, we'll definitely hop into that and start covering that. But yeah, I think the game's a little old now. Interest is kind of dying down. I did see that in episode 1 as well. There's a few people who are like, oh, I don't want to see another Western European playthrough, you know, because they've watched, you know, YouTuber after YouTuber playing Western Europe or whatever. I don't play this game on the channel, so for me, it's like I'm going to play, you know, the countries that's the DLC focused on. And, you know, I addressed why we didn't play in China or Japan. Japan, obviously, we had just done a Japanese series of Victoria. And then China, I don't even like playing as China in EU4. So yeah, the only other option that wasn't in Western Europe would have been Muscovy. And, you know, I played them once before on the channel. So, I mean, it was a long, long time ago. Yeah, it just didn't make sense for, you know, I've done 4 EU4 campaigns on the channel and 2 of them to be as Muscovy. So yeah, I felt like France was a good choice. They got some nice stuff. It was one of the ones I was most excited about, England being the other, but we already did an England campaign as well. So maybe it was the country selection, but I think this was the good one to start as. But that could have been the issue why it was so unpopular. But I think really it comes down to the people don't want to watch EU4 anymore. I think most people are done with it because I saw a lot of those comments as well, both on episode 1 and before I started the series. People, you know, commenting on other videos when I talked about us doing an EU4 series. A lot of people were like, oh, I'm so done with that game. Like, yeah, I've stopped playing that years ago and don't like the direction they took it with and they took with the game and you know, just people tired of it. You know, it's been out for a long time. So a lot of people have already done what I did a little while back and quit on the game. So I think that's what it really comes down to is really old and you know, a lot of people don't like what Paradox has done with it over the years, some of the changes they've made to it. One thing I really like about EU4, just kind of end this part on something positive, is that there's not really any micromanagement. I mean, obviously you could say the armies are micromanagement, moving them around for sure, but that's the case with any Paradox game that has you moving armies around, you know, CK3 or whatever it is. But that's not what I mean. I mean, like, a lot of Paradox's games have like a lot of micro with certain mechanics that just require just a stupid amount of you know, getting into the details if you want to be really efficient. So Hearts of Iron 4 obviously has, you know, all of the designing of the different ships and planes, and then managing your factories, and then both your civilian factories and your military factories, and then digging into the division designs and designing all those. There's a stupid amount of micro in that game, and that's one reason why a lot of people like myself like it. But it does kind of bog you down a little bit with it. And then Victoria 3 obviously is, you know, the economy is all micro. That's what that is. It's just, you know, arranging where you're going to build everything and what you're going to build first, and, you know, managing all that. So it's a micromanagement heavy game. That's what they do. And that's, again, what people like about it. It's not me complaining about these features, just stating that there is a lot of micromanagement. Stellaris can get really heavy in the micro with all the planets and stuff. But this game doesn't really have that. You know, there's not a lot of complication with the economy. There's not much you have to do with it. I mean, it's so easy to just construct buildings. You know, you just go in here and then shows you exactly which ones are most profitable, and then you click on them. I mean, it's pretty easy. There's just not a lot of micro, again, outside of the units moving around. And so it feels like a more like a chill, smoother experience, I guess, compared to some other Paradox games. I never ever feel bogged down in micro as I do with other Paradox games sometimes. Win a war in Stellaris, and I get 10 new planets that I just conquered, and now I gotta fix them all because they're all not run properly. I gotta change where the pops are, make sure all the pops are good, and change what buildings are on the planets, and maybe name them, or, you know, whatever customization I want to do for them, and set up the sectors and give them a governor. It's like every time I end a war, it's like if I took a lot of planets, there's so much I have to do. You never see anything like that in this game. I take over a bunch of territory. It's clicking a bunch of buttons to core it real quick. And it's all very easy to do. So yeah, it just feels like it doesn't have as much micro, and so it's a smoother experience. So that's a positive thing I'll say about it after all the negative. So I do like the game still. It's still fun to play. It's fun enough anyway. But I think it's time for the next entry. But I do want to end this, as I mentioned in the beginning of the episode. I wanted to end it by talking about my process for deciding on ending the series and why views are important. So one thing I hear often in the comments is, if you're enjoying the series, if you're having fun, that's all that matters. That views should not be that important. That you shouldn't focus on the amount of money you're making with it. But you have you got bills to pay. I've been doing this part-time now for a while, where I use the money to pay for my bills every month. And so in Colorado, and I haven't really talked about this on the channel at all. So in Colorado, many of you guys know I was working private security, and so I was full-time. I moved to part-time years ago. I don't remember. I think I started in 2018, but I think it was in 2019 that I had fully transitioned into part-time at my job. And eventually I moved into an all-call basis in my private security job. I was working private security in Colorado. If you don't know, if you weren't on the channel back then, I mentioned it a lot more back then, like what I used to do. I don't so much talk about my life anymore on the channel because I know it annoys some people. People don't want to hear about that, so I generally don't talk about what I'm doing in my real life that often anymore. But yeah, I work private security in Colorado, and I eventually moved to an on-call basis. And what I really liked about that was that it allowed me to choose how many hours I wanted to work based off of how well the channel was doing. Some months, because YouTube is not a very consistent income. Some months you make really good income, and other months you hardly make anything at all, or compared to what you usually make. You make maybe half of what you usually make or something. So it's not a consistent income, so it's kind of hard to live off of. That's why it's good to have another job while you're doing it. My spouse works as well. My wife works. She works full time now. And that was another reason why I transitioned to part-time, because there's this big promotion that she wanted, and she couldn't do it because she was working part-time, and she needed to move to full-time. And so it was actually her idea that I moved to part-time work so that she could take that promotion, and then I focused more on doing the YouTube, as well as the homeschooling our kids. We started doing that. We started that in 2021, as that takes a lot of time, after the whole COVID thing, where our kids weren't going to school because of COVID, so you had to homeschool them. But then we just kept doing it because when we sent them back to school, they had our kids playing video games all day. I talked about that back in 2021, why we made the decision to homeschool our kids, because it was just, they just weren't teaching them anything. They were just playing. I'm not exaggerating, guys. They spent all day playing video games. It was ridiculous. They didn't do homework, didn't do anything. I just don't know. You take your kids out of school. They take all the kids out of school for a year because of COVID. You think you come back and you get to business to catch up, because all the kids are behind. It doesn't matter what school system you're in. Everybody's behind because of all the school they missed because of COVID. They missed an entire year almost. And then you think they come back and let's catch up, but they didn't. They just decided they weren't going to teach the kids anymore. At least that's what our school was doing. And so we decided to start homeschooling them. And so I've been focusing on that. That's a lot of time. That's been extremely time consuming. We've been doing it for 2 years now. And so, yeah, I spend a lot of time with that as well. And so between the homeschooling and the YouTube, I also have to do other work to make additional money. And so I was doing the on-call work in Colorado, and that wasn't an option when we moved here to Kansas. First of all, the job market here is not the same. This place we live now is a quarter of the size of where we moved. So there's just not as many jobs. And I also didn't have the connections that I had in Colorado either. I don't know anybody here. We moved here really just because the housing market. The housing market is significantly cheaper in Colorado. I mean, the cost of living is significantly cheaper, and we were having money problems. So things have been a lot better since we moved here. But I do still have to make additional money, particularly on the months where our channel doesn't do so well. And so what I started doing is the gig work, the gig type of jobs. I think that's what they call it, the gig industry. So I started doing that. It's great because it allows me to choose how many hours I want to work. And basically that's determined on how well the channel does. And so if the channel's doing well, then I don't have to work as much. If the channel's not doing well, as it hasn't been for the last 4 months, then I have to work a lot more. And that's on top of what I already do on YouTube, and on top of the homeschooling the kids, and on top of me trying to get some free time in my life. So basically, when I am doing a series that isn't getting any views, a lot of people say, oh, if you're enjoying it, then just keep playing it. But that's not what I have to look at it as. I have to look at it as, do I want to go and do more work at a job I hate? Because I do not like these jobs, man. I hate them. I'm going to be completely honest. I'm really not liking the situation. I've spent my entire life working certain types of jobs. I was in the Army, and then I worked in corrections. I was a correctional officer. And then I worked in private security. Of course, in between the private security and the corrections, I got my degree. So I went and got 2 bachelor degrees. I actually went to college, used my GI Bill, and went to college. And I did that full time. Obviously, never used the degree. It was, I'm not going to say waste of time, but because, I feel like I learned a lot doing college and grew a lot as a person. But yeah, I never used my degree. When I moved to Colorado, I tried to get a job that would reflect the new level of education that I had, and fortunately, I just didn't have much success with that. So decided to do private security, just until I found something else, and then that's what I was stuck in. Honestly, that's probably that type of work and those type of uniforms is probably the best job for my personality. And so I went from that to doing this type of work, this gig work, and it doesn't fit my personality. It's just not. It's not for me, man. I'm not enjoying it. It does feel like a huge demotion in my life. So not happy about those doing those type of jobs. But you gotta do what you gotta do to make money for your family. And so when it comes to a question of like continuing a series like this that is so unpopular and nobody's watching and just isn't making any money, I have to ask myself, do I want to go work this job more hours that I hate? I hate this job and do that to keep this series going. It's not about whether I'm having fun with it. It's, do I want to go do this other job and do more hours with it? And the question is, and the answer is, no, absolutely not. I did that Stellar series. Again, I was having fun with it. And as I told you guys in that series, I was keeping it going longer than I should have because I was enjoying it. And so we already did that. We kept that series going like 2 weeks longer than I should have. And so then I started this one and, hoping, it's a new series, new episode 1, new viewers, hoping that would pick things up again, and it didn't. And so basically, coming off of the Stellar series that, again, did decent in the beginning, but then died off, and then coming into this, which is did poorly from the beginning, I really can't afford to keep doing it. That's what it really comes down to, guys. It's been a rough year so far, and luckily the other 2 series we have are doing much better right now, so that's helping. But yeah, I can only do so much content with everything else I do as well, guys. So that's the other thing to consider is there's only so much time in the day, and so there's a lot of factors to consider when it comes to whether you're going to keep a series going or not. How you're doing financially, how much free time you have. A lot of things to consider besides just, are you having fun with it? Honestly, I don't even start a series unless I'm going to have fun with it, generally. There's only been a few series I wasn't having fun. Usually I only play games I like. And if I don't like a game, you'll notice we don't play it very long, whether it's getting views or not. Because, I don't want to play something I don't enjoy. And I think it comes across in the videos too if I'm not having fun with the game, if I'm irritated at. And there's only been a few games that I didn't like because, again, I generally I'm not even going to start a series if it's a game that I might not like. So generally that's not like a huge factor when it comes to selecting whether or not I'm going to continue a series or which series I'm going to continue with if I got multiple ones going, because I'm usually having fun with all of them. I usually enjoy most of the games we play. So yeah, it's not the main thing I consider. Views are important. It is a job, and a lot of people don't think of it that way because it's gaming, or even if it's not gaming, if you're in another area of YouTube, you're making videos and putting them up online, and so a lot of people don't really see it as a job. I know I didn't before I started doing it. I heard people were making like millions of dollars doing it. I was like, really? Just putting videos up on the internet? Okay. So when I started it, I didn't think of it as a job. When I started back in 2015, it was just something fun to do because I was looking for a job at the time. We moved to Colorado and I was unemployed for 2 months. And so I'm a busybody. I don't like just sitting around not doing anything. And so I had to find something to distract myself and give me something to do. So that's why I started the channel, really. I just thought it'd be something fun to do while I was looking for a job. And then, I found some work, but it was all part-time stuff. I had some difficulty finding because, again, I was kind of being picky because I got a degree. So I was like, hey, I want something that pays well now. That's why I got the degree. And so, yeah, I was working a couple different jobs. And finally, I just said, I got to find regular full-time work and I got to stop being picky. And so that's where I started doing the private security. But I enjoyed doing this YouTube so much that I kept the channel going. It wasn't making any money. It took me like 9 months before I got my first paycheck. So it was just for fun. And then for a good solid 2 years, or 2.5 years, from that point when I started making money to the point where I started like cutting back hours at my work, this was just extra money. YouTube just paid for pretty much the games that we bought, because I used to never have money to buy games at all because we've always been kind of poor. So I usually never bought games. I'd buy maybe a couple games per year on a deep sell. So that's really what it was doing. It was paying for my very expensive gaming habit, because gaming is a hobby. As a hobby is a really expensive one, particularly nowadays as games have gotten more and more expensive. And so that's really what YouTube was for a while, was just paying for the gaming so that I could continue to do it, and I enjoyed doing it. But eventually it did turn into a job. And once that happened, once I cut back, my hours at my real work that made me real money, once I started doing that and started relying on this for money to pay for bills, it changes. And it's just the nature of it. And, your entire outlook on it changes, because now you need to make money. So I think a lot of people, don't consider that, maybe because they don't even consider this as a real job or whatever. So I don't really consider the fact that I always got to take into consideration how I'm doing, how I'm making money and stuff. And unfortunately, our channel has had a rough period due to the move largely last year. We didn't put out a lot of content because we were looking for a new house and trying to get moved to another state and just had a lot of issues going. So that impacted the channel considerably. And over the last 1.5 years, we have lost 3/4 of our monthly Patreon money. While we still have roughly the same number of patrons, we lost all of our big dollar patrons. Got some new ones, but they're like lower monthly donations. And so our patrons that were providing, because it was like a few patrons that were providing the majority of our monthly Patreon income. And so we lost those. And I think the situation there, it might have had some influence, the lack of content we're doing, but I think more than anything it's because everybody is being impacted by inflation right now and the economy and what's happening at this moment. I know we certainly are. The inflation's been heavily affecting us. Your money's just not worth as much as it once was. And so a couple of them told me that's exactly what happened, is they're hurting financially. And so we're not getting that Patreon money. We lost, again, 3/4 of it just over the last 1.5 years. And so that's, several $100s less per month that we were making. And when you're at our income level, that has its impact. I know for some people that doesn't seem like much, but it does impact us. And, you have to adjust your financial situation based on that. So, we lost a lot of our Patreon income. We're barely earning anything now, the least amount that we've ever earned since we started the Patreon. Despite the fact that, again, we have around the same number of patrons, that number hasn't dropped, just the amount that we get. So Patreon's one of the things that kind of really allows us to work a bit less at the normal jobs, the non-YouTube jobs, and focus on doing this content more. And so now that has declined, we got to do more the other work, the regular work. And so that's been a problem. And of course, ad revenue with the views being lower has also declined. So it's just been a rough year so far, and so I'm having to do a lot of other work, and so I just don't have time to do the YouTube and just having to make adjustments. But hopefully, we got these 2 series that are doing well on the PlayStation 5, and then we're going to be doing a CK3 series. If you're wondering what's coming up next, we're going to be starting with CK3 tours and tournaments. So hopefully that does well. We'll see. And then Victoria 3. has an expansion coming out later in the month as well. So we'll probably cover that after the CK3 one. And so we got some stuff coming up, and maybe things will improve. But again, it's been a really rough period. This past April here was just a terrible month, man. So I'm having to work a lot this month because it's always 1 month behind. You get paid with YouTube, you get paid the next month. So whatever you earn in April, that's the paycheck you get in May. And so basically, however I did the previous month determines how much I have to work that month, which is unfortunate because sometimes a month will be doing really well, and you're doing a lot of work because things are doing well. You're putting out a lot of videos, but you also have to work a bunch at your other job because the last month didn't do well. And so that's how May is going to look for me. It's going to be horrible. Now April was just busy because March was also pretty bad. January through April has just been really bad for us this year. And so yeah, that's how these things work. I know that some people don't know, and so that's why they talk about like, oh, if you're enjoying it, just play it, and that'll bring in the views. And that has not been my experience at all. I know some other YouTubers have been playing what they enjoy for years and not seeing any growth. That's just not really the way YouTube works. I know people think that's how it works, but it's not. You got to play what people are looking up if you want to be successful on YouTube. Whatever people, because that's where you're going to get the majority of your views from, is the search. A lot of people don't know that. They think, building up a good subscriber base is the way that you are successful on YouTube. And that helps for sure. Because it gets you the initial views from your subscribers, kind of help you in the search engine to get up higher on the searches. But for most channels, including mine, around 80% of your views come from non-subscribers. And you get those mainly from the search. People got to be looking up that game. They need to be searching for it. And I think EU4, there's clearly not enough people searching for it. So, with the supply and demand, that's the demand side. There's got to be a demand for the content. There's got to be people looking it up and that want to watch that content in the first place. And most of them are people who are not subscribed to your channel. So it's very dependent on the game you're playing, particularly for channels our size. Once you get bigger, this becomes less of a factor because you're so huge that you get favorable treatment in the search, and you already have millions of subscribers to watch your stuff. So even if only a small fraction of your subscribers watch it, you still got hundreds of thousands of views if you're one of those bigger channels. So that's one factor. That's the the demand side, and the other is the supply side, competition. If there's too much competition for a game, then you're not going to do well. So if you cover a game that's lots of big channels cover, to say, I don't know, Call of Duty or something like that, you got to compete with these really large channels. And it doesn't matter that there's a lot of people looking it up. It's irrelevant because your video is going to be so far back on the search, nobody will ever find it. So that's the other thing you have to consider is the competition. And so I don't know exactly what played a role here with this series doing so well or doing so poorly. I mean, I think it's probably more on the demand side, that there's just not many people looking it up. But yeah, there could also be a problem with too much competition. I don't know how many other channels covered this and how many of them played as France. So that plays a role too, though. That's generally how I factor these games in when I choose to play them. As one is it's something people are going to look up. It's something people that they're going to want to watch, and two is there going to be too much competition for that, which is why AAA games generally are ones that we don't cover on the channel because there's just too much competition with the really big channels. So we just never do well. I've never had AAA games be successful on my channel before. It's just far too much competition. So a lot of people looking it up, but irrelevant because we're too far down in the search. Yeah, I just wanted to explain my reasoning and this process, explain kind of how it works, because I don't really talk about it generally. And I just noticed that among viewers, there's a lot of confusion with the way YouTube works, and that's expected. Before I started doing it, I didn't know anything about it either. I didn't understand how it works. Like, for instance, a lot of people don't know that you don't make any money from views. You don't make anything from views. You could have 100,000 people that watch it and make no money. The only thing you make money from is advertising. Somebody has to specifically watch an ad to make money. Every ad that is watched on one of my videos, I get 55% of the income, and YouTube gets 45% of the income that's generated from those advertising. So if nobody watches ads on my videos, then it doesn't matter how many views I get. So that's another factor that plays in how much money you make, is how active are your viewer base on watching advertising. And that's where I think subscribers become the most important, because non-subscribers are less likely to watch an ad on your video, while subscribers, trying to help the channel out, and so they watch the ads. Just a lot of misunderstandings and confusion when it comes to this type of job. It's a weird job that a lot of people don't really know how it works. So I just want to clarify that a bit, and why why I make the decisions that I do when it comes to what we're covering. But just keep in mind that I got a family, I got to make money, and this is a part-time job for me. And so while I am not happy about having to end a series in 10 videos in a series that I expected to get like 20 or more videos for, so I'm definitely not happy about it, but it is what it is, guys. And I can only do these so often, like these series that people aren't watching, keep them going longer than I should. I can only do that so often before it hits the bank account just too much, and that's where I'm at right now, guys. Is not in a good place. And so I did want to address it at some point here. That is always going to have to be considered. I always got to consider the popularity of a series. I got to be receptive to what people want. It just makes sense when you have a business to be receptive to what people are watching and what people want, what people are purchasing, so to speak. In this case, purchasing with their time. So yeah, I hope you did enjoy the series overall. Again, it was I thought it was a fun series. It's a bummer it did end. I'm definitely disappointed. I spent a lot of time on this mod, so I'm pretty disappointed with it, but it is what it is. But I hope you enjoyed our time with it. If you did, make sure you like on this video, subscribe to our channel, hit that notification bell, and leave a comment. If you're looking for any links, then check out the description of any of our videos. Found links to our PayPal, Patreon, and Teespring store if you'd like to help support the channel. You also found links to our Discord if you'd like to join our community. And finally, you found links to all our social media if you'd like to follow us on those. If you're looking for anything to watch, remember we are starting that CK3 series next week, so I do hope to see you on that. But you also find all of our series on the front page of our channel. And that is all sorted by genre, so you should be able to find something that you'd enjoy. All right, guys, so that's going to be the end of this very long video. I do apologize again. That's, obviously we're not able to have a long series with this, but again, I think we're done with EU4. It's maybe just too old of a game here. But I did enjoy what we played, and I'm glad I was able to show you guys this game to those of you who had never seen it before, because I know that there are some people on the channel that had not seen any EU4 content before. So maybe it's something you're interested in. It's a game that's been under development for a long time, so there's a lot of content in it from all the expansions and patches. So yeah, it might be something you really like. If you liked what you saw here. But yeah, again, I am sorry that we only had the 10 videos here, but like I said back in February, it was kind of an experiment to see if we could cover these games or not, and clearly EU4 is not popular enough at this point, or not at least for me to cover it. Yeah, I do hope to see you guys on another video, perhaps that CK3 series that'll be starting next week, and yeah, thanks for watching.